Zhu Linyi secretly returned to Beijing. Jinny Yuan, who has never been able to find Zhu Linyi. He set his mind on Xufu. It happened that Zhu Linyi wanted to go back to Xufu. He was recognized by the people of Jinny Yuan Marquis. Fortunately, the Duke of Wei arrived in time. He suppressed the people of Jinny Yuan Marquis with his identity and took Zhu Linyi away. The Marquis of Jinny Yuan ordered people to ambush around the palace, believing that Wei, no matter how bold the public is, he will never dare to take Zhu Linyi to the palace. Duke Wei rescued Zhu Linyi and asked Zhu Linyi to rush to the palace. Zhu Linyi did not understand how Duke Wei would know that he was heading for Xufu. Duke Wei said that Luo Xingxing had found him. 11 Niang had previously guessed that Zhu Linyi would infiltrate Xufu like a killer, so he sent someone to hide in the killer of Jinny Yuan Marquis. He learned about this in advance and rushed through. Come on. Zhu Linyi wanted to sneak into the palace, but outside was the hands of Jinny Yuan Marquis. Lin Shixian saved Zhu Linyi, but he pulled Zhu Linyi and refused to let go. If he let Zhu Linyi go, the whole district family in Jinny Yuan Marquis would be finished. Under the dilemma, Lin Shixian still chose to let Zhu Linyi leave, and he led the pursuit of the district family. Mrs. Zhu threatened her life. She took the Zhu family to the execution site to meet the 11 Niang. Mrs. Zhu shouted for the 11 Niang. She stopped 11 Niang and refused to let people be executed. Dan Yang also believed that Zhu Linyi would rush to the court to save 11 Niang. The executioner was the man of Jinny Yuan Marquis. He knew that the Zhu family was delaying time, so he asked people to pull the Zhu family away on the spot and immediately executed. It was already afternoon, and when 11 Niang opened her eyes again, she lay in the bed of the Zhu family. She didn't understand what all this meant. Zhu Linyi held 11 Niang's hand tightly. It turned out that he rushed to the execution ground at the last minute and saved 11 Niang from the hands of the king of Yanluo. Now Zhu Linyi has given the evidence to the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit has pardoned the 11 Niang's sins, and everything is a foregone conclusion. Zhu Linyi held the 11 Niang tightly and told her that the 11 Niang was pregnant. The 11 Niang was very happy when she was happy. Zhu Linyi gave the evidence to the emperor, and the district family was sentenced for this. When he saw the soldiers and horses, Jinny Yuan who knew that he had lost. 11 Niang came to prison to meet Lin Shixian. Lin Shixian told 11 Niang that he had already obtained evidence of his guilt. At that time, he chose to sacrifice 11 Niang to protect his family in the district, but later, when he heard that Jinny Yuan Marquis had indiscriminately killed innocent people because of arresting Zhu Linyi, he chose the side to go to justice. Zhu Linyi has never let down the people and 11 Niang. Lin Shixian is also willing to bless them today. In this competition without gunpowder smoke, he finally lost to Zhu Linyi. Jinny Yuan, who abused his position and colluded with coastal pirates in private, conspired to get together, and sentenced to beheading. The second son district Yangxing was exiled to the district's wife for exposing the crime of meritorious amnesty to death. Jinny Yuan Marquis was about to be executed. Lin Shixian shouted at Jinny Yuan Marquis. Jinny Yuan believed that he had always had expectations for Lin Shixian if he had lost. The road outside the fortress was bumpy. He only let Lin Shixian cherish it himself. When she was exiled from the fortress, Amber packed up her bags and prepared to go with Lin Shixian. She did not want anything else, but hoped to accompany Lin Shixian. However, Lin Shixian knew that he had nothing. He could not give Amber what she wanted, so he directly rejected Amber and let Amber go. Zhu Linyi brought Brother Yu to see Antoine. He knew that he had neglected Antoine, so he was willing to give Antoine a choice. If Antoine is willing to stay at the Zhu family, he will not treat Antoine badly in terms of food and drink. If Antoine wants to leave, he will also give Antoine enough silver. If Antoine wants to do business, he and 11 Niang will also help Antoine. Antoine sighed how Zhu Linyi talked to her tenderly for the first time. When she learned that Yuge was going to Leshan to study, she wanted to accompany Yuge to accompany her. Zhu Linyi was allowed. When Antoine left, she came to say goodbye to 11 Niang. 11 Niang didn't care about the past, but let Antoine and Uge return home in time during the holiday. Antoine was moved and wished 11 Nying and Zhu Linyi a happy life together from the bottom of her heart. 11 Nying came to the government to thank Kurniang for coming to see her in prison at that time. If there hadn't been a second mother, Zhu Linyi would have been in danger. She happened to meet Kurniang worried because her stepson was ignorant, so she wanted her stepson Chengzu to go to the school with his brother, away from those who don't know how to do good or bad. 11 Nying had a good intention, but Kurniang restored her previous arrogant posture and also used Ginlian to satirize 11 Nying. 11 Nying was ready to get up and leave. Nying still softly called 11 Nying and let 11 Nying drink tea before leaving. 11 Nying was a little surprised that this tea was the sparrow tongue tea that Kurniang specially found for her, but Kurniang said that this tea was not for 11 Nying to drink for free, but as a bundle of Chengzu's school. 11 Nying knew that Kurniang's heart was soft and hard, and she only slightly hooked the corners of her mouth and tasted the good tea in her hand. 11 Nying played the piano in the house. Zhu Linyi knew that 11 Nying was not essential, so he personally guided 11 Nying. 11 Nying knew that Zhu Linyi's biggest preference before was fuguing, but Zhu Linyi had not touched the piano since the Zhu family had an accident. 11 Nying had good intentions. She persuaded her and did not want Zhu Linyi to bind herself. Zhu Linyi was persuaded by 11 Nying to fugue for the first time many years ago. The melodious sound of the piano spread to all corners of the house. Everyone in the house was very surprised. Zhu Linyi actually touched the piano again many years later. In the first year of Longqing, Emperor Longqing announced the lifting of the sea ban, adjusting overseas trade policies, and allowing private traders to the east and west. Since then, the trade on the southeast coast has entered a new period, with a comprehensive opening situation, which is historically known as Longqing Switch. A few years later, on the Mid-Autumn Festival, Xufu was happy and reunited. Qianming could not come back to Yunnan, and Wu Nying was invited to Xufu for the festival. When Zhu Linyi came to the courtyard, he asked about the figure of 11 Nying. Mrs. Zhu only said that 11 Nying was preparing for the bride price of her brother, and had not yet returned to her home. A little girl at the pavilion ran to Zhu Linyi's side. This daughter was the biological daughter of Zhu Linyi and 11 Nying Warm. Then, 11 Nying went back to her house, and the whole family sat at the banquet table and raised their glasses together. This first glass of wine was supposed to be a toast to Mrs. Zhu, but Mrs. Zhu toasted Mrs. 11 Nying. Now the fairy pavilion is famous overseas. 11 Nying and Master Jane are the pride of thousands of women, and this second glass of wine is to toast home and everything. Over the years, the efforts of 11 Nying have not been in vain. Her efforts have been trusted by the people of the world and the Holy One. 11 Nying has been awarded the title of a lady. The two looked at each other and smiled. Zhu Linyi thought that the 11 Nying deserved it, but 11 Nying shook her head to deny it. She knew that without Zhu Linyi's selfless trust in the world, she would have achieved nothing even if she tried her best. It was Zhu Linyi who completed her regretless life with all her love.